In the opening of the film, we see a small village located in a desert. Then, the story jumps forward 67 years, showing the same desert again. In this scene, several soldiers are seen running inside a research facility because during this time, a mysterious creature begins attacking them. Due to this, they are all eliminated one by one with chilling patience. Then we see George and his friend, who arrive in the same desert because George believes that there is a large amount of copper inside the cave. By selling it, they can become wealthy. But as soon as they enter the cave and begin collecting the copper, a mysterious creature suddenly attacks them. Both of them are killed there. After this, we are introduced to a boy named Brian, who is a huge admirer of a famous film star named Jabinch. Soon, his friend Lucas arrives as well, and it is revealed that Lucas is a bike racer, while Brian has made a few modifications to his bike. Because of this, he ends up winning the race, and as a result, he gets invited to a party where Jabinch is also expected to arrive. After that, both of them head towards the party, and on the way, Lucas picks up a girl named Liza. Since Lucas knows that Brian has strong feelings for Liza, he invites her to the party as well, and soon all of them set off together. On the way, two bikers named Tim and Craig speed past their car, and seeing this, Lucas can't hold himself back and rides off on his bike to challenge them and prove he's faster. During this time, he manages to win, which makes the other bikers extremely angry with Lucas. And as the party is about to begin, Lucas notices Liza is standing alone and encourages Brian to go talk to her. But Brian feels very nervous, so Lucas motivates him by telling him to have confidence in himself. Then, as Brian starts walking toward Liza, Craig arrives there and begins trying to talk to her. Seeing this, Brian feels very upset, so he leaves the party and walks away. After that, he reaches the same spot where George's car is parked. Lucas, unable to find Brian at the party, goes out searching for him and eventually finds him sitting alone, clearly upset. Noticing his condition, Lucas gently asks what's wrong. Brian, feeling low, opens up and says that he feels like he's just a support system for others, that his role is only to stand by people, and beyond that, he doesn't have any real identity or importance of his own. Lucas reassures Brian, telling him that he should never see himself as less important than anyone else. Just then, Lucas notices a cave nearby and suggests that Brian go inside with him. Although Brian hesitates and refuses at first, Lucas insists and convinces him. Eventually, the two of them enter the cave together, and it leads them to a hidden path that takes them straight to a research center. When they enter a room inside the research center, they come across a strange, sticky substance that immediately catches their attention. As they try to understand what it is, they suddenly hear an unusual noise from somewhere nearby. Curious and a bit cautious, they decide to move forward and investigate, eventually making their way into the kitchen area. From this, they discover that the deadly creature responsible for all the killings is actually a swarm of ants. Realizing the danger, Lucas and Brian quickly try to find a place to hide. Just then, Lucas receives a call from Liza, who asks where they are. In a tense voice, Lucas pleads for help and tells her that they are trapped inside a cave. Then Lucas's phone suddenly dies, leaving him unable to say anything more to Liza. A moment later, as he opens a can of beer, the noise attracts one of the ants, which rushes toward them to attack. Startled, both of them run for their lives and make it to the kitchen. Just as they catch their breath, the ant lunges again, this time targeting Brian. Brian traps the creature inside the automatic gate, but just as he's about to get away, the giant ant suddenly catches hold of his leg. Lucas quickly rushes in to help him, struggling to pull him free. At that intense moment, Liza arrives and, without hesitation, attacks the ant with an axe, striking it fiercely and finally taking it down. Seeing this, both of them are shocked. At first, Liza can't understand what's going on, but Lucas quickly explains that the ant had been tracking them. Realizing that ants never move alone and usually travel in groups, they decide to come up with a plan to escape. However, before they can act, a swarm of ants suddenly appears and begins chasing them, making their situation even more dangerous. They take shelter inside the control room, hoping to stay hidden. As Lucas begins checking the computer systems there, he discovers a critical piece of information. There's Only one way to survive those giant ants. The moment you see them, you must run without hesitation. While searching further, he comes across a recorded message from Dr. Reynolds, who reveals a terrifying fact: these ants are capable of laying thousands of eggs in just a single day, making the situation far more dangerous than they ever imagined. If these creatures are not stopped in time, they could become an enormous threat. It is revealed that the ants were created using DNA from an alien meteorite, which explains their massive size. Dr. Reynolds also explains that this experiment began back in 1951, during which they developed 9 different types of ants. The ants from batch 9 turned out to be far more intelligent than expected. They managed to break through the security system and wiped out all the soldiers stationed there. Now, these creatures are actively searching for a suitable place to lay their eggs. However, their DNA has been engineered in such a way that they require ethanol for their eggs to develop properly, something they cannot find in the desert. Realizing this, Liza suddenly recalls that there is a large amount of ethanol available at the party, making it a potential target for the ants. That's why the 3 of them decide to leave the place and head out to save their friends. Meanwhile, at the party, a boy walks over to grab a drink, but suddenly notices that someone is already taking it. Curious, he looks closer only to realize it's a massive ant. The terrifying sight shocks him instantly, and in fear, he begins to scream loudly. Before he could reach his friends, a giant ant suddenly attacks him and brutally kills him. The same creature then moves toward a girl at the party and spits a corrosive substance on her, burning her face completely. Watching this horrifying scene, Craig and his team panic and try to escape on their bikes, but several ants begin chasing them as well. Within moments, the entire party turns into chaos as a swarm of ants launches a massive attack, targeting people from all sides. Here, as Craig and his team are trying to escape, they end up confronting a group of aggressive ants, leading to a sudden and intense clash. Despite the chaos, Craig somehow manages to survive. Meanwhile, Brian and his friends arrive at the party location, only to discover that the place is completely deserted. Realizing something is terribly wrong, they quickly decide to leave using a car, but just as they attempt to escape, a giant ant suddenly attacks them, turning their getaway into another dangerous struggle. Because of the danger, they quickly escape on a bike to save their lives. As they move forward, Brian attempts to cross a huge ditch with Liza, but she stops him, warning that it's too risky and he won't make it. This frustrates Brian, and in anger, he argues that if he hadn't acted earlier, they both would have died. In response, he insists that he understands the situation, referring to the moment when Lucas had taken a similar leap. Liza realizes what Brian is trying to do and tells him that he doesn't need to take such risks just to impress her, because she already sees him as intelligent and capable, which is why she likes him. Hearing this makes Brian genuinely happy, but in the very next moment, the situation takes a terrifying turn when a giant ant suddenly appears and snatches Liza away. Even after witnessing the chaos, Brian finds himself helpless as his bike refuses to start. Just then, Lucas rushes in and insists that they need to warn the others and get help immediately. However, Brian firmly refuses, making it clear that he won't abandon Liza under any circumstances, no matter how dangerous the situation becomes. Even though he hesitates, Lucas still chooses to stand by him. The 2 of them ride back on the bike and return to the same cave. As they step inside, they discover something horrifying: countless eggs scattered around, along with the lifeless bodies of Liza and the others, all eerily wrapped as if preserved by the ants. The scene shocks them, and as Brian moves closer, trying to free Liza from the strange covering, the tension only grows stronger. Just as they're trying to stay hidden, a giant ant suddenly spots them, creating a moment of pure panic. But before the creature can attack, Dr. Reynolds appears out of nowhere and strikes it down, saving them at the last second. Realizing the danger is far from over, Reynolds urgently tells them to leave the area immediately. However, Brian refuses without hesitation, making it clear that he won't abandon Liza and is determined to stay by her side no matter what. The doctor explains that the larva cannot be destroyed without a special weapon, making it too dangerous to stay any longer. Realizing this, they decide to leave the area. Before going, Brian promises Liza that he will return for her, no matter what. As he prepares to leave, the doctor hands him a map leading to another hidden base, explaining that it contains powerful weapons capable of killing the ants. However, he also warns Brian that the base is protected by an automatic gun, making the mission even more risky. That he warns them that they must enter carefully while avoiding the defenses. As they continue moving forward, the doctor is still focused on continuing the experiment. Just as the tension rises, the queen ant suddenly arrives at the scene, making the situation even more dangerous. The creature fiercely takes down the doctor, showing unexpected intensity. Witnessing this, Brian and Lucas quickly escape and rush toward another base. Once inside, Brian realizes that the automated defense gun installed there is jammed, allowing them to enter without resistance. However, despite searching the area, they are unable to find any weapons. Lucas spots some beer stored in one of the rooms, but Brian quickly stops him from drinking it. As Lucas moves toward another room, he suddenly notices a giant ant inside, feeding on a lifeless body lying on the floor. The horrifying sight makes both of them freeze in place, too shocked to move forward. During this tense moment, Lucas tells Brian that he wants to have one last beer before they die. But the instant he grabs the can, a hidden door suddenly slides open, revealing a concealed stash of weapons. Seizing the opportunity, both of them quickly gear up, step out with renewed confidence, and confront the deadly ant, managing to take it down together. That moment, Brian runs out of bullets, leaving him no choice but to toss his gun aside. Without wasting time, he and Lucas race back toward the cave on their bike, parked just outside the base. Once inside, Brian quickly frees Liza, making sure she's safe. But as Brian and Liza attempt to escape, their path is suddenly blocked by the queen ants, who close in and try to stop them from getting away. Brian starts attacking with the Lucas gun he has, but the gun's bullets run out, so they both run away from there. And when Brian tries to get out with Liza's bike, a swarm of ants begins chasing him. So Brian speeds through the area where the automatic gun is installed, which only targets ants. So as soon as those ants come into the gun's range, they are eliminated very mercilessly. Seeing this, Brian and Liza become very happy. But then the queen ant arrives there and starts chasing them, while Lucas, present inside the cave, takes out all the people one by one. Then, when he finds a boy there who has a drink in the spray machine, Lucas takes that spray machine from him and sprays it all over the cave. But when he tries to set fire there, the voice of that team is heard, which tells him to help. And here Brian reaches the ravine, but the queen ant was still following him, because of which they had no way left. So Liza makes Brian believe that they will definitely cross it, after which Brian jumps from the bike and safely reaches the other side of the ravine with Liza. Then the two of them try to get out of George's car standing there, but the queen ant grabs that car with her larvae and starts pulling it towards her. So Brian tries to shoot her with a gun, but that gun was not listening to any of his commands. Liza quickly grabs the weapon from him and uses a command to fire at the queen ant. But as the creature is hit, the car also begins to slide down into the ravine along with it. So without wasting a second, Brian and Liza leap out of the vehicle and manage to escape safely. After which the scene shifts to Lucas and his team. That moment, Lucas assures him that he will never compete against him again, and will instead recognize him as the new Jabinch. After which the team prepares themselves for the next phase. Soon after, Lucas releases him and sends him out, choosing to stay back so he can ignite the fire on his own. While on the other side, Brian arrives at the location. Searching for Lucas, he arrives at Lucas's bar. And at that moment, Tim comes out of the cave and explains that Lucas saved his life and has stayed inside to burn and destroy the eggs. After hearing this, Brian attempts to go back inside, but Tim holds him back, and soon Tim's brother Craig also shows up there. And when he learns that Lucas saved his brother's life, he rushes inside on a bike without thinking to rescue Lucas. After that, he manages to bring Lucas out safely in front of everyone. Seeing all this, everyone feels very happy, and they soon arrive at the party spot where they thank each other. Just then, Jabin shows up and asks for a beer, and as he begins drinking, an ant suddenly snatches his drink, which scares him a lot. But Brian and his friends prepare themselves to confront that ant. And with this moment, the movie comes to an end.